Hi YouTube, I know it has been a while and I have had it in my mind for quite some time now that I do want to make some specific YouTube content, not just uploading TikTok compilations, but taking you guys along with me on the longer format videos where I show you the cooking process and the thought process, and I just get a chance to be a little chatty with you all. A lot of you guys have been so supportive of me on this channel, and I just want to take a moment to say thank you to each and every one of you. I know I don't really spend a lot of time on this platform, so it means a lot to me that you guys enjoy the videos that I make and the recipes that I share. So what we're going to do today is we're making some Super Bowl party dips, and I'm going to be making 3 dips, and we got a $20 budget that we're working with, so I will show you everything we are using. So all 3 of these dips are going to be cream cheese based. So I have 2 blocks of cream cheese blend from Dollar Tree. We also have some cheese that I'm going to be shredding. I have a block of mozzarella and a block of cheddar, 2 cans of chicken, Frank's Red Hot Buffalo Wing Sauce, ranch dressing, parmesan cheese, frozen spinach, chili with beans, rotel, Velveeta cheese sauce, and of course we cannot have dip without having chips. So I have 2 bags of corn tortilla chips. And lastly, we're going to need some cooking vessels. So I have this 3-pack of aluminum trays. This also came from Dollar Tree, and this will be to cook all 3 of our dips in. So this is my rig to film my TikTok videos, and I'm going to be filming the YouTube at the same time on my phone, so you guys get a slightly different perspective. So I'm really excited about this. I think this is going to be a lot of fun. The only big difference between TikTok and YouTube is that with YouTube, you get the full view of my kitchen, and it is not always spotless. I'm sorry. With the TikTok format, it's very vertical, so I can kind of hide the things I don't want people to see, but YouTube, it's gonna be a little bit more informal. So we're gonna start with our 2 blocks of cream cheese blend, and since I'm making 3 dips and only using 2 blocks, we're gonna split these 2 blocks between our 3, and that's a way we're gonna save costs on these dips overall. We're gonna do the same thing with our shredded cheese. These blocks are sometimes a bit of a pain to open. Like sometimes you have to kind of cut them open. They don't really want to open otherwise, but I'm not sure who else usually does this, but a lot of times when I'm prepping cream cheese, I will just cut it straight in the foil and everything. Just take the knife and cut straight through it, but sometimes that rubs like some of the metallic finish onto the cream cheese. I'm trying not to do that as much lately. Okay, so essentially we've got our 2 blocks of cream cheese here, and because I'm trying to make 3 dips, we're going to cut each block into thirds. We've got kind of this corner on each of them, so we're going to try to make this as even as possible, but it's not that big of a deal if it's not. But I'm going to kind of score kind of like general thirds-ish on each one, and then we are going to go ahead and cut those into thirds. Each bowl is going to get 2 blocks of cheese. And the beauty of doing dips, especially doing them the way that I'm doing them, is you can make them the night before and have them in your fridge ready to go. And then the day of the Super Bowl, you can just toss them in your oven and bake them, and that's all she wrote. We're gonna set these aside. We still have to shred some cheese. We have our blocks of mozzarella and cheddar. So a lot of times when I'm shredding these blocks of cheese, I like to cut them in half lengthwise. I just feel like it makes it easier to cut them and to hold them when I'm shredding them. I'll just kind of free them from their vessels. I know a lot of people say to slightly freeze your cheese before you shred it, makes it easier. I'm not that much of a perfectionist when it comes to grating cheese, so I just kind of work with what it is, and if it crumbles a little bit, it's no big deal, because especially in this kind of an application, it's going to be melted in the end anyway, so freezing it to make it easier to shred feels like an extra unnecessary step for cheese that's going to be melted. So I'm going to go ahead and shred all of this, and I will be back to show you what we're gonna do next. I shredded up my mozzarella and I shredded up my cheddar. I want mozzarella for the spinach dip. I want cheddar for the chili cheese dip. But I don't mind having a mixture of the 2 for the buffalo chicken dip. So I'm just gonna grab some of each and kind of mix them together and try to make sure I have an even amount of cheese for all 3 dips basically. more. So that's another way that we are going to stretch this out between the 3 dips, is we have a little bit of the cheese kind of distributed between the 3. The cream cheese is not quite softened up. I just took it out of the fridge like an hour ago. So I'm going to go ahead and soften those up in the microwave so we can get these dips assembled. Gone ahead and softened this up in the microwave. This is the first cream cheese. I think the first dip we're going to make is the chili cheese. Super easy. Just going to go ahead and make sure our cream cheese is nice and pliable. So from here, things are going to be super easy. We are just going to go ahead and dump in our can of chili. I've gone ahead and drained the rotel just for consistency so it doesn't end up too wet. If you wanted the extra flavor, you could definitely leave the liquid from the rotel in there. And we are also going to add in our Velveeta packet. This should be a really nice chili cheese dip. Pretty sure if you put Velveeta cheese sauce in just about anything, it really like sets it over the top, in my opinion. All right, I know that oh, the color on that looks so bad. On my TikTok feed, it looks nice and like yellowy orange. On here, it just kind of looks like brown, but that is okay. Different cameras. The YouTube footage I'm filming with my smartphone, and the TikTok footage I'm filming with my Canon camera. So there is our first dip, and we're gonna go ahead and transfer that into one of our aluminum tins. And that makes quite, oh geez, that fills that up more than I thought it would. I think we're gonna have to scoop some of that out. I feel like I needed bigger containers now. That's okay. This will be the chef's dip, basically. And we can go ahead and top this with our shredded cheddar, which also is quite a lot. Those 4-ounce boxes of cheese make a lot more cheese than you would think. And that's why I like using them. Onto our baking sheet goes dip number 1. Second dip is going to be a buffalo chicken dip, which I'm sure you could have guessed from the ingredients. So same as before, gonna go ahead and just soften up the cream cheese. And to this, we're gonna be adding our 2 cans of chicken. We're also gonna be adding some of our buffalo sauce. I'm not gonna be using the whole thing because I need to reserve a couple tablespoons for another recipe, one that I'll be making later on this week. So I'm gonna set aside probably about 2 tablespoons or so of this for that video. Other than that, whole rest of this thing can go in here. For the Kraft, we're gonna add probably about half the bottle. It's gonna be about a cup of the ranch. And I think that's all she wrote. Okay, we're gonna mix that all together. This is also something that the color is not coming through very well, but it is a nice bright orange color. Go ahead and put that in our second tin. It's my hope that these YouTube videos will be more of like the behind the scenes and the kind of getting to know me, and of course the TikToks like the short format of like, you know, here's the recipe if you want it, and it's, you know, a 2 to 3 minute video. But I miss YouTube. I miss being able to just talk and really enjoy this whole process. So this one's gonna get the cheese blend on top, and that one can go on our baking tray. So there's 2 of our dips ready to go. The third dip is going to be a spinach dip, and I like to thaw and drain my spinach. Again, this comes down to textural things. You don't want things to be too wet, and spinach particularly likes to release a lot of liquid. So I've gone ahead and thawed this out in the microwave, just about a minute or so, maybe a minute and a half. You don't want it to be hot because then you're gonna struggle to actually hold it and squeeze it. And you really wanna squeeze out as much of the moisture as you can. So here I have a tea towel. I've used washcloths, I've pretty much used everything. But using a tea towel, you just gotta wring it and squeeze out as much of the liquid as possible. Same thing, we have our block of cream cheese, or our portion of cream cheese that we set aside for this. I'm gonna go ahead and mix that all together. Into this is gonna go our drained spinach. I'm just gonna go ahead and use this entire jar of Parmesan cheese because Parmesan cheese is really good. And this will kind of serve as our like seasoning for our spinach dip. When I posted my Christmas video, there was so many comments about me not seasoning the spinach dip, but Parmesan cheese I didn't add at that time, but if you've got it and you can budget for it, Parmesan cheese is probably the best way to season your spinach dip if you can get it. Kind of makes it like a spinach Alfredo dip, basically. I feel like this one's gonna be the smallest of the 3 dips, but that's okay. Final metal tin. This is definitely the thickest of the dips too, so we can go ahead and kind of spread that out, level it out. It will soften up once it's like baked in the oven. And then this one is going to get the mozzarella cheese on top. I've gone ahead and preheated my oven to 400 degrees. I'm gonna put all 3 of these in the oven for about 12 to 15 minutes or so. I'm gonna keep an eye on them, but I'm just gonna keep them in the oven until the topping is golden brown. And I did finish these off in the broiler for a couple minutes, so I baked them at 400 degrees for 18 minutes, and then I ended up putting them under the broiler to kind of crisp up the cheese on top a little bit. So one of your options when it comes to serving these at a party is to include some little cups that people can kind of single serve themselves out some dip. That will help keep, I know there were some comments about COVID and just generally like it's flu season and stuff. So if you're concerned about germs, all you gotta do is just give your guests an option to be able to kind of portion out the dip into little single serve containers like this. And I would say that if all you're doing is dips like this is $20, then you would probably realistically feed about 4 people with this. This is not going to be the only Super Bowl video that I do. I'm going to be doing several recipes, so it's going to kind of be mix and match, and you can kind of make it work to whatever your budget is or whatever your taste preferences are. But this is kind of a starting point. If you just have a small get together, I think you can realistically do just dips, and that would be super budget friendly. Make it BYOB for drinks. Maybe throw in a couple of little extra like snacks and appetizers, but otherwise this should work perfectly. Here's the last benefit to the long format YouTube videos is I will do the taste tests live rather than talking about them after the fact. So let's get into it. Oh, I'm out of breath. I just ran some of this food downstairs to Michael, and 30. I'm like out of breath just from going down the stairs and coming back up the stairs. Give me 1 second. Okay, so the dip I am most excited about, one of my personal favorites, buffalo chicken. Ow. Oh man. Oh, that is so good. I'm actually really glad Michael doesn't like buffalo chicken because this one is all mine. Next up, spinach dip. Can't really go wrong. I've tried this before, except for this time I added Parmesan cheese to it. But again, can't go wrong. Spinach dip. I love spinach dip. I just love chips and dip. I could live off of chips and dip. You know, there's like, every time I go to a restaurant, Mexican restaurant, any restaurant, and I'm looking at the appetizer menu, I would rather have the appetizers than the entrees every time. So I'm totally fine with just eating chips and dip. Now we're gonna go on to the chili cheese dip. Last one. These are all so good. I can't recommend this enough. I am absolutely in love with how all 3 of these turned out. So I'm very excited for the rest of the Super Bowl series. In the meantime, I'm gonna finish eating these chips and dip off camera by myself, and I'm gonna enjoy every second of it.